Hi guys, my name's Laura and I'm the Specky Seamstress. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here to talk to you about this dress, which you can't see very much of, but is a hack of the Salted style Misty Cami. Now, if you've been following me for a little while, I pattern tested the Salted style Misty Cami, which was their first pattern, back in last summer, I guess, like July, August time maybe. And I loved it. I absolutely fell in love with it. I made 7 versions during the testing phase, and yeah, it's just a really lovely cami pattern that is a great alternative to the Ogden cami, which is very popular but doesn't have any bust darts, which is not my favourite thing. I like a bust dart, and it just, yeah, it comes with different cup size pieces, and I'll link the video where I talked all about the Misty Cami. It's quite an old video, so bear with me if it's a bit juttery. Who am I kidding? All of my videos are a bit juttery. And I love it, and I've worn it, worn those versions a lot. I wore them throughout the summer. I also wore them throughout the winter, layered with a t-shirt underneath or a jacket and a cardigan over the top. Really versatile. Great pattern, very happy. So coming round to this summer, and with the weather being quite nice here in the UK at the minute, my mind had wandered to other fabrics that I might want to make Misty Camis from, and I have actually got a few planned, just the standard top, camisole top, but I've been really wanting a dress, a camisole dress, and I tried the Calvin wrap dress, which I've talked about a few times on this channel, as one that I had planned, which is a wrap camisole dress, which I like, and I'm going to persevere with getting the fit right, because I think that for some fabrics the wrap will be really, really lovely for it. But I just thought, you know, what I actually want is just a nice dress, a nice camisole style dress with any options for any skirts that I want. And I thought, well, I have a camisole that I like, so surely that's a good starting point for a dress of a similar style that I might like. So I grabbed some scraps that I didn't think were going to be that useful for anything else, and made a toile of the Misty Cami, where I chopped it off at the waistline and added a little bit of seam allowance, and then I played around on the pattern piece before I cut out the toile with what I thought a sensible side seam was, basically, because the Misty Cami has an A-line shape to it, so from the bust line it flares out, and I didn't really want that for the dress. I wanted it to be reasonably close fitting at the waist, although I had the plan that if I could put it on over my head and add waist ties rather than adding a zip, that would be great. So I didn't want it to be too close fitting, so I took a couple of close fitting dresses that I had and kind of played around with the pattern pieces, and basically took in the side seams a little bit and then added waist darts on the front piece to allow the shaping to come in. But I left the back piece without any waist darts. I took in the side seams a little bit, but left the back to be slightly looser, with the idea being that I could add those waist ties at the back and cinch it in once it was on me. And I played around with it a little bit. I had to alter the darts a couple of times. I just put it on, I pinned some straps to it. I knew that the strap length that I had used in the past, for my previous Misty Camis, so I pinned some pieces of fabric to that to play around with where I thought the darts should go. I had to play around with them a little bit, but I'd been quite lucky with my first stab not being too bad, and then I thought I would make up a version in a fabric that I wasn't too precious about, and that is this. Now, this is a weird choice for that, because in some way I'm very precious about this fabric. This is a fabric I bought on my very first trip to Walthamstow, which I vlogged about here, and it's a viscose linen. It's £2. It was £2 a meter, and I bought 3 meters of it, which is a weird amount for me to buy. I very rarely buy 3 meters of a fabric, only if I wanted to make like a Zadie jumpsuit, but I don't think I would have worn a Zadie jumpsuit in this. It's quite it's almost a nautical style vibe to it, and I don't think I would have worn a Zadie jumpsuit, especially with a cream background. I'm not a massive cream background girl normally, but obviously all the colours on this are very, very me, and yeah, so I had not cut into this because I didn't really want to use it for something that didn't use all 3 meters, even though I don't think I wanted anything that would have used all 3 meters. So I was in a bit of a catch-22 situation with this fabric, and basically I decided that the bodice of this only takes about 40 centimeters to make, and I thought, well, I'll make up a bodice of it, and if I decide I don't like it, then I've not really lost very much, because I'll still have over 2.5 meters of this fabric. It was quite wide. I'll just go from there. Because also I was planning on adding a big gathered skirt, and they are just 2 big rectangles of fabric anyway. So I thought, well, even if I get to the stage where I make it up and I decide I don't like it, I've got quite a lot of rescuable fabric here to play with for something else. So it was one of those that I knew I would absolutely love it if I made it and it went well, but if it didn't go well, I could sort of rescue it and I would be okay with it. So I made up the bodice in an evening. I decided to line the bodice. I've lined it just in itself because I had quite a lot of it left. And it does give a really nice finish to it. All of the Misty Camis I made last year, I did bias binding around the neckline, other than the tester version I made with a facing, and I'm not a big facing fan. As you guys may or may not know, I haven't spoken about my unlove of facing for a little while, but I do like the finish that lining the bodice gives me, and I think for a dress where you only need 40 centimeters to line it, it's worth it for the nice finish it gives. Don't know if I would do it for all of the camis that I make, but actually probably more leaning towards that now than I was last year, and may disassemble and reassemble some of the camis that I've made to account for that like nicer finish, particularly a couple of the nicer fabrics I've got, but we'll see on that. That's an aside. And so I'd made up most of the bodice in the evening, and then the next day, Laura, who is Sewn and Shown on Instagram, had arranged for a virtual sewing day for a few people who had arranged to get together before all this happened, and we just had a meeting on Teams where all day people dropped in and out of the day, and in the morning I made up the rest of this dress, and I was so excited to try it on. You know how when you finish something and you try it on and you get like a fit test and you get to put it on, and it just, like, you want to do a little dance, and it was really nice to have people to do a little dance in front of into the camera, and them will be like, oh, it looks really nice. It was just a really nice feeling, because I do go and do that to my husband, but I don't get quite the same reaction that I might get with other other seamstresses. So but yeah, it's just a really simple gathered skirt. I haven't made a gathered skirt dress in such a long time. It was quite kind of nostalgic almost, because yeah, I haven't really made one for ages. I added pockets, obviously. Why would you not add pockets? And then I added waist ties, and I don't have a picture of the waist ties, so I'm going to do that awful thing that I hate where I stand up and show you a bit and you just see like a weird bit of my body. But I've added waist ties, and they're basically at the same level as where a waist dart would be if there were waist darts in the back. So they're not right at the side seam, they're in a little bit, they're actually in line with the straps, and that just means that, I don't know, I prefer waist ties when they're not at the side seams. I think they provide a nicer shape, and are a bit more secure as well if they don't have as much to like pull in. And because I left all the excess in the back rather than the front, that worked really well for that. And I'm just super happy. And then I had another couple of things planned. So I was planning on tracing out the Melilo shirt from Deer and Doe, which I have now made a couple of versions of, and you saw one of in my live video if you watched it. And I will be talking to you more about the Melilo shirt soon. And I was like, oh, I should do that. And all the girls on the call were like, make another one, make another one now. So I did, and I used an absolutely stunning I can't remember what I'm talking about. An absolutely stunning cotton sateen fabric, which was from Textile Express, which I spoke to you about in my I don't know what to do with these fabrics vlog a little while ago, because I bought it originally to make dungarees, but the print was far too big for that. So I made myself a dress of dreams that I really need to make sure I don't reserve for special occasions, because I think it needs more wear than that. And I think with a cardigan and boots, it will be like a fun dress. Maybe not for every day, but not for just special occasions. And that's what I quite like about this style, actually. I think that you can dress this up or dress this down really easily. I mean, I've mostly worn this one around the house, around the garden, floating around with like bare legs and sandals, and it's a beautiful summer dress. But I could very easily chunky this up. That's not what I meant. Casual this up with a chunky cardigan and tights and like DMs or Converse or something. I think it's quite an easy one to wear how you want. And also it's a really easy one to adapt, because now I've got the bodice, I can add the cross straps that come on the original Misty Cami pattern, or I can add, well, I added a box pleat skirt onto the elephant dress, which I will come back to, but I can add a pleated skirt, I can add a gathered skirt, I can add a circle skirt, I can add a tulip skirt. I'd quite like to add sort of a slightly accentuated pencil skirt to one. I think that'll be a really nice one to wear, not necessarily like out for posh things. I'm not getting there. Might be a really good one for kind of work, and a good one to wear casually as well. So I think I definitely want to make one of that, and I need to decide what fabrics to use. I really only need like 1.5 meters of fairly decently wide fabric. I couldn't do 1.5 meters of like 110 centimeter cotton. I'd probably need 2 meters of that. But anything else, 1.5 meters makes this dress, which is just really nice actually. It's nice to have a pattern that makes a nice dress in 1.5 meters. I don't often find that for my size, that I can find a dress, or I can make a dress with 1.5 meters. So that's quite exciting. I'm a bit sad about that, aren't I? But I don't care. That's the case. So the elephant dress. Now, I agonised over the placement of the bodice for the elephant dress for quite a while, because the print is quite big and I didn't want like half an elephant taken up by a dart. Quite a lot of the front of the dress is darted by the time you've got the waist darts and the bust darts in there. So I did really like play around with it for a long time, and then I made a bit of an accident that's turned into a happy accident, but I was really gutted at the time. I cut the skirt pieces, and I made sure I wanted to make the whole width of the fabric the skirt, because then the elephants ran all the way across the width. But I should have made the elephants at the bottom of the skirt, not the top, because then you can see all of the elephants like parading around the bottom of the skirt. And I hadn't really thought about it, and I cut the fabric, and immediately it was like, oh no, you're not going to be able to see the elephants, because whether I gather or box pleat or whatever this skirt, you're not going to see the elephants. And I was really gutted, and I went away and like had a cup of tea and spoke to myself about it for a little while, and then realised I could do absolutely gigantic box pleats to take in the extra width that I needed and still have the elephants lined up at the top. And I can't tell you whether I'm happier with that than I would have been if the elephants had been at the bottom, because I can't compare the two. But I'm actually really happy with the effect of it. I think it looks really good. I managed to work out the box pleat, so you saw the elephant's faces kind of touching along the edge. And although I think the giant box pleat, along with the slightly more structured fabric, makes it look a little bit posher, like a more of an occasion dress than I had originally anticipated, I will just wear it anyway. And that will be it. Somehow that ended up a little bit tighter than this one, and I don't really know why. I am going to wash it again and see if that helps relax it at all. But yeah, it's a stiffer fabric, but I wasn't expecting it to be quite as tight. I can still get it on over my head, but it's less of a like easy breezy whoosh. If that makes any sense to anyone other than me. But yeah, it was just such a simple make, and it doesn't really take very long to make, particularly lining the bodice, because you don't have to do any finishing around the neckline or the armhole, or and attaching the straps really easy when you line the bodice as well. So yeah, I was really quite pleased with this hack make, and I do have quite a few more planned. I just can't quite decide what skirts to add to them, and there are some fabrics that I've bought 2 meters of recently, beautiful like viscose linens that are just really drapey and like cool and fun, but I bought 2 meters of them because I was going to make little sleeved dresses, and now I can't decide what to do with them, so I'm waiting for inspiration to strike and for me to decide. But I'm definitely going to make a couple of these in African wax, and there's a wax fabric that I've been umming and ahhing what to make with for ages. In fact, I'm going to see if I can find it. This fabric, which I got from Stamp Africaine, which was is a monthly subscription box for African wax that I don't subscribe to anymore, just because I had quite a lot of African wax stacking up and didn't really need any more for now. But this fabric, when I got it, I was so gutted I only got 3 yards, not 6 yards, because you get like a 6-yard fabric, a 3-yard fabric, and then a couple of smaller pieces. And I would have loved for this to have been a 6-yard fabric, but I think this will just be the perfect pattern for it, and I'll have some left over probably to make just a camisole top from as well. But yeah, how cool is that going to be for a cool dress? So I'm quite excited by that, and also think I'm going to make it from this guinea fowl fabric as well. So there we go, at least 2 more, but definitely more than that, because I actually have another fabric I bought from Lamazi, which is in the post on its way to me as a remnant, a fabric that I've been eyeing up for ages that I'm quite excited to make one of these out of as well. I think it's quite good for a statement like print, and we all know I've got a few of those in my stash, so I'm sure there'll be plenty more to show you in the upcoming months. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I would love to know what you think about the dress, and let me know if there's any fabrics you've seen me show you that you think would be really good for this dress, because I would love to know. I will be back hopefully on Friday with probably a fabric haul, so I hope you tune in again soon. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye!